Chinese invasion fleet crosses Taiwan Strait. American forces engage in battle, determining Asia's future for generations. Tuesday, 3:17 a.m. Taiwan Strait. Largest amphibious operation since D-Day began without warning. Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy deployed 340 landing ships, 89 destroyers and frigates, 47 submarines. We housed 200 aircraft. The Armada carried 180,000 troops toward Taiwan's western beaches. American intelligence detected preparations for weeks, warned Taiwan, positioned forces, but couldn't prevent execution. Chinese leadership calculated American response would be limited. Domestic politics would constrain military action. Regional allies would remain neutral. Every calculation proved wrong. At 3:17 a.m., when first Chinese landing craft approached Taiwan beaches, American carrier strike groups activated war plans. Japanese self-defense forces mobilized. Australian Navy deployed. British carrier strike group increased readiness. The alliance structure Chinese planners thought was weak activated immediately. Tuesday morning wasn't just Chinese invasion of Taiwan, was beginning of great power war nobody wanted, but preparations made inevitable. Battle for Taiwan that would determine whether democratic nations could defend themselves against authoritarian aggression, whether American security guarantees meant anything, whether international order based on rules or might. Everything decided in waters between China and Taiwan, where 180,000 Chinese troops met resistance from 190,000 Taiwanese defenders, backed by American military power projecting across Pacific. Chinese bombardment began 2:47 a.m., 30 minutes before landing craft launched. DF-21 and DF-26 ballistic missiles struck Taiwanese military installations. Air bases hit, radar sites destroyed, command bunkers targeted, naval facilities struck. Hundreds of missiles overwhelming Taiwanese air defense. American Patriot batteries engaged. Intercepted many missiles. Couldn't stop everything. Taiwanese military absorbed damage. Maintained command structure. Preserved fighting capability despite bombardment, achieving tactical surprise. Amphibious assault commenced 3:17 a.m. Hundreds of Chinese landing craft approaching beaches simultaneously. 5 main landing zones across western Taiwan. Each zone defended by Taiwanese infantry backed by armor. Chinese forces expected overwhelming firepower would paralyze defenses. Found Taiwanese forces fighting despite casualties. American provided weapons effective. M1 Abrams tanks engaging Chinese armor at beaches. Javelin missiles destroying landing craft. Artillery prepared fires devastating Chinese troops exposed on open beaches. First wave suffered 40% casualties. Second wave pressed forward regardless. American carrier strike groups 180 miles east of Taiwan launched response at 3:47 a.m. USS Ronald Reagan and USS Carl Vinson combined air wings putting 180 aircraft into combat. F/A-18 Super Hornets engaging Chinese fighters. F-35C stealth fighters striking landing ships. EA-18G Growlers jamming Chinese radar. E-2D Hawkeyes coordinating air operations. The American air campaign targeted Chinese fleets supporting invasion. Destroyers providing air defense. Landing ships carrying follow-on forces. Logistics vessels supplying operation. Chinese planned new American carriers would engage. Deployed air defense. Positioned fighters, but couldn't prevent American strikes achieving effects. Chinese air campaign deployed 800 fighters attempting air superiority over Taiwan. J-20 stealth fighters engaging American F-35s. J-16 multi-role fighters striking Taiwanese positions. H-6 bombers launching cruise missiles. The air battle was largest since World War II. American and Taiwanese forces combined had 320 aircraft operational. Outnumbered but technologically superior. F-35 stealth advantages, better pilot training, superior tactics. Air battle raged across Taiwan Strait. Chinese lost 47 aircraft first 3 hours. American lost 11, Taiwanese lost 23. Chinese numerical advantage couldn't overcome qualitative disadvantages American technology and training created. What's your assessment? Type A for American intervention preventing Chinese invasion success. Type C for Chinese numerical advantages eventually overwhelming defenders despite American support. Comment your analysis. Taiwanese ground defense held against first waves through determined resistance and American weapons. Chinese forces established beachheads at 2 of 5 landing zones, were contained by Taiwanese counterattacks, couldn't advance inland. Artillery pounded positions. Anti-tank weapons destroyed Chinese armor attempting breakthrough. American precision strikes eliminated Chinese artillery support. Landing zones became killing zones where Chinese forces suffered disproportionate casualties without achieving operational objectives. Taiwanese defenders, knowing they fought for homeland, showed determination. Chinese planners underestimated. Subscribe now for complete battle analysis explaining how Taiwan fight and American intervention created strategic crisis for Chinese invasion. This breakdown reveals tactical details other coverage won't explain comprehensively. American submarine campaign was invisible but devastating. Virginia-class submarines positioned in Taiwan Strait before invasion. USS Connecticut, USS Illinois, USS Colorado fired torpedoes at Chinese landing ships from positions Chinese anti-submarine warfare couldn't detect. Mk-48 torpedoes sank 7 landing ships carrying 4,200 troops total. Chinese fleet knew American submarines operated nearby, couldn't locate them, couldn't prevent attacks. Submarine threat forced Chinese fleet into defensive posture, concentrated vessels for protection, made attractive targets for American airstrikes exploiting concentration. Japanese involvement was immediate despite constitutional constraints. Japanese self-defense force went to combat readiness, mobilized reserves, prepared for Chinese attacks on Japanese territory. American forces operated from Japanese bases with full support. Japanese destroyers deployed to Philippine Sea supporting American operations. Prime Minister invoked security treaty obligations. Committed Japan to conflict Chinese leadership assumed Japan would avoid. Regional dynamics shifted dramatically when Japan activated comprehensively. Chinese missile campaign against American bases began 4:47 a.m. DF-26 ballistic missiles striking Andersen Air Force Base Guam, Kadena Air Base Okinawa, Misawa Air Base northern Japan. The strikes attempted degrading American ability sustaining operations, hit runways, destroyed fuel storage, damaged aircraft, but couldn't eliminate American military capability. Patriot and THAAD systems intercepted many missiles. Damaged bases continued operations using rapid runway repair. American forces demonstrated resilience Chinese planners didn't anticipate. Attacks on American territory activated alliance responses Chinese leadership apparently didn't fully consider. Allied response exceeded Chinese calculations. Australia committed Navy supporting American operations. Britain deployed carrier strike group. South Korea placed forces on alert. Philippines allowed American forces operating from Filipino bases. India monitored Chinese movements prepared for border escalation. The coalition forming against Chinese invasion was comprehensive. Chinese forces fought alone. American-led coalition coordinated operations. Alliance advantages multiplied American military superiority, creating overwhelming pressure Chinese forces couldn't match. Taiwanese morale remained high despite casualties. Population mobilized. Civilians supporting military. Hospitals treating wounded. Infrastructure maintained despite bombardment. Democratic government functioned. Communications continued. Social cohesion held. Chinese psychological warfare attempted breaking will. Found determined population fighting for survival, knowing surrender meant end of democratic system. Taiwanese resistance exceeded Chinese assumptions about population willingness fighting. Chinese casualties mounted rapidly. First day invasion, 12,000 Chinese soldiers killed, 28,000 wounded, 47 aircraft lost, and 23 ships sunk, 67 landing craft destroyed. Losses exceeded planning estimates by factor of 4. Chinese military could sustain casualties. Question was whether political leadership could sustain domestic support when casualty reports reached mainland population expecting quick victory. American casualties significant but sustainable. First day, 340 Americans killed, 89 aircraft lost, 2 destroyers damaged, USS Milius hit by anti-ship missile, 19 killed, USS Curtis Wilbur damaged by cruise missile, 11 killed. Casualties were serious, were anticipated. War plans included casualty estimates. American public support remained strong, seeing Taiwan democracy defending against invasion. Taiwanese casualties heavy but determined. First day, 8,400 Taiwanese soldiers killed defending beaches. 3,200 civilians killed in bombardment. 18,000 wounded total. Small nation's sacrifice was enormous proportionally. Will to fight remained unbroken. Knowing alternative was subjugation to authoritarian rule motivated resistance despite terrible costs. Economic impact immediate globally. Asian stock markets crashed. Shipping through Taiwan Strait stopped. Semiconductor production halted. Global supply chains disrupted. Oil prices spiked. Insurance rates skyrocketed. Economic consequences affected billions worldwide. Financial markets understood Taiwan battle threatened global economic stability. International diplomatic response divided predictably. United States rallied allies condemning Chinese aggression. Russia remained neutral publicly while quietly supporting Chinese position. UN Security Council paralyzed by veto powers fighting. European nations condemned invasion while debating military support. Global diplomatic architecture designed preventing wars was useless when great powers committed to conflict. Chinese domestic narrative emphasized reunification and resisting foreign interference. State media framed invasion as defensive, protecting territorial integrity, completing civil war, preventing American imperialism. Domestic population rallied initially. Question was whether support would sustain when casualties mounted and economic costs became clear. American domestic unity was remarkable. Political divisions suspended temporarily. Congress authorized military operations overwhelmingly. President addressed nation explaining stakes. Public opinion supported defending Taiwan democracy against aggression. Unity surprised Chinese leadership who expected American divisions would constrain response. First day ended with Chinese forces controlling 2 beachheads, but contained by Taiwanese counterattacks supported by American strikes. Invasion achieved initial lodgment, couldn't exploit inland. Casualties exceeded estimates. American intervention was comprehensive, not limited. Allied support was substantial, not minimal. Taiwanese resistance was determined, not collapsed. Every Chinese assumption about invasion proving wrong created strategic crisis for Beijing. Night operations favored American forces with superior night vision and precision strike capabilities. Chinese forces established defensively at beachheads were struck throughout night by American aircraft and Taiwanese artillery. Couldn't reinforce, couldn't advance, took casualties without gaining ground. Night became American advantage Chinese forces couldn't overcome. Logistics became Chinese vulnerability. American submarines and aircraft interdicting supply ships. Landing craft destroyed faster than replacements arrived. Ammunition consumption exceeded resupply. Fuel shortages developed. Chinese forces at beachheads increasingly isolated as American campaign targeted logistics systematically. Intelligence advantages enabled American operations. Satellites tracked Chinese fleet continuously. Submarines provided targeting data. Taiwanese sources confirmed ground situation. Electronic intelligence intercepted Chinese communications. Comprehensive awareness let American forces target precisely. Chinese intelligence remained limited despite cyber and electronic warfare efforts. Technology gap was decisive throughout first day. American precision weapons, stealth aircraft, advanced sensors, network coordination. Everything worked as designed. Chinese equipment was capable, wasn't equivalent to American systems when operated by professional forces applying superior doctrine. Training differences showed in engagement outcomes. American pilots better trained, Taiwanese soldiers better prepared than Chinese planners estimated. Chinese forces followed procedures competently, but couldn't match tactical flexibility American doctrine emphasized. Training quality multiplied technology advantages significantly. Strategic implications extended beyond Taiwan. If Chinese invasion succeeded, every American ally would question security guarantees. If American intervention defeated invasion, authoritarian powers would reconsider military adventures. Taiwan battle was test of international order. Results would shape great power relations for generation. Regional nations watched closely calculating future alignments. Vietnam observed Chinese military performance. Philippines reconsidered American alliance value. Indonesia assessed regional balance. Malaysia noted coalition response. Singapore evaluated stability assumptions. Every nation drew conclusions affecting strategic calculations for decades. Future operations depended on first-week outcomes. If Chinese secured lodgment and advanced, invasion might succeed despite costs. If Taiwanese defenders contained beachheads with American support, invasion could fail. First week was decisive, determining whether Chinese achieved objectives or whether resistance prevented consolidation, enabling counteroffensive, eventually eliminating invasion forces completely. Tuesday at 3:17 a.m., Chinese invasion began. By day's end, strategic situation was unclear militarily, but politically decisive. American intervention was comprehensive. Allied support was substantial. Taiwanese resistance was determined. Chinese isolation was complete. Casualties exceeded estimates. Logistics struggled. Technology gap favored defenders. Training advantages compounded. Tuesday started battle for Taiwan, determining Asia's future. Results would shape international order. Test whether democracies could defend themselves. Whether authoritarian aggression would be defeated or rewarded. Everything decided in waters and skies around Taiwan, where great powers committed forces to conflict, determining whether rules or might governed international relations. That's Tuesday, first day of battle determining generations of history. 180,000 Chinese troops attempting conquering 23 million Taiwanese, supported by American military power. 12,000 Chinese dead, 8,400 Taiwanese dead, 340 Americans dead. Everyone fighting knowing stakes exceeded immediate battle. Knowing Taiwan determined whether democracy or authoritarianism would shape Asia's future. Whether international law meant anything. Whether small nations could survive great power aggression. First day couldn't answer questions. Set conditions for answers emerging through combat, continuing. That's Tuesday when battle for Taiwan began changing world regardless of outcome. Will Chinese invasion succeed, or can Taiwan hold with American support? Comment predictions. Your engagement determines coverage. Every comment, every like, every subscription, enable notifications. Battle continues. More combat daily. More casualties. This channel tracks everything. Every engagement, every strategic shift, every decision point. Tuesday started battle determining Asia. You understand exactly what's at stake. Subscribe for comprehensive continuing Taiwan battle coverage. Naval warfare intensity exceeded any conflict since World War II. Surface combatants engaged at ranges enabled by modern sensors and long-range anti-ship missiles. Chinese Type 05 destroyers fired YJ-18 missiles at American carrier strike groups from 400 kilometers. American destroyers intercepted with SM-6. Chinese submarines attempted penetrating American defensive screens. American P-8 Poseidon aircraft hunted them with sonobuoys and torpedoes. Naval battle raged across hundreds of square kilometers. Technology determined outcomes. American Aegis combat system proved superior coordinating defenses. Chinese fleet suffered disproportionate losses attempting close enough for effective attack. Air superiority battle was critical, determining ground campaign outcome. Chinese deployed 800 fighters attempting dominance. American and Taiwanese forces had 320 aircraft, but qualitative advantages. F-35 stealth enabled first-shot opportunities Chinese fighters couldn't match. American pilots averaged 200 flight hours annually versus Chinese 120 hours. Training gap showed in engagement outcomes. Kill ratios favored American forces 4.1. Chinese numerical superiority couldn't overcome technological and skill disadvantages. Air battle results determined whether Chinese ground forces received support or fought isolated. Amphibious warfare demonstrated change dramatically since World War II. Precision weapons made beach assaults extraordinarily costly. Chinese landing craft were destroyed by javelin missiles, artillery, and aircraft before troops disembarked. Historical amphibious operations assumed attackers would establish beachheads through mass. Modern weapons enabled defenders inflicting catastrophic casualties on exposed forces. Chinese planners apparently underestimated how precision weapons transformed amphibious warfare, making traditional approaches obsolete. Cyber warfare accompanied kinetic operations throughout first day. Chinese hackers attacked Taiwanese infrastructure, disrupting communications and utilities. American Cyber Command defended networks while conducting offensive operations against Chinese military systems. Digital warfare was continuous, but neither side achieved decisive effects. Military networks were hardened. Civilian infrastructure proved resilient. Cyber dimension added complexity without determining outcomes independently. Space assets were critical, enabling operations both sides. American satellites provided targeting data continuously. Chinese satellites tracked American fleet movements. Neither side attacked space infrastructure directly, fearing escalation. But satellite-enabled warfare was evident throughout. Communications, navigation, intelligence, targeting. Everything depended on space systems functioning. Vulnerability was recognized. Restraint was maintained. So far, missile defense proved effective, but not impenetrable. American Patriot and THAAD systems intercepted most Chinese ballistic missiles targeting bases, but some got through. Damaged runways, destroyed fuel storage, killed personnel. Perfect defense was impossible against saturation attacks, but degraded attacks achieved limited effects. American bases continued operating despite hits. Resiliency through dispersal and rapid repair maintained capability despite bombardment. Precision strike effectiveness demonstrated throughout first-day operations. American JDAM and JSOW guided weapons achieved hit rates exceeding 90%. Chinese precision weapons performed adequately, but not equivalently. Accuracy difference meant American forces accomplished objectives with fewer weapons, made logistics easier, made operations more efficient. Precision gap multiplied other advantages significantly. Electronic warfare created invisible but decisive advantages. American jamming disrupted Chinese tactical communications. Chinese forces struggled coordinating without reliable communications. American encrypted systems functioned despite Chinese jamming attempts. Communication reliability enabled American coordination while preventing Chinese coordination. Electronic warfare dimension was as important as kinetic warfare, determining outcomes. Command decision speed favored American forces throughout engagements. Decentralized American command philosophy enabled rapid tactical decisions. Chinese centralized command required higher approval, slowing responses. American forces operated inside Chinese decision cycles, acted while Chinese deliberated, exploited opportunities Chinese recognized too slowly. Command culture differences accumulated tactical advantages, creating operational effects. Logistics sustainability became apparent quickly. American logistics could sustain operations indefinitely through established Pacific infrastructure. Chinese logistics supporting invasion across strait faced submarine and air interdiction. Supply vulnerability constrained Chinese operations, made sustainability questionable. Logistics asymmetry favored American forces decisively over extended operations. Medical care disparity affected force sustainability. American wounded received advanced trauma care. Survival rates exceeded 95%. Taiwanese wounded treated in modern hospitals survived at high rates. Chinese wounded extraction was difficult under fire. Medical care was adequate but not advanced. Higher mortality from treatable injuries. Medical care differences made casualties more sustainable for American and Taiwanese forces, more devastating for Chinese forces. Morale factors became evident quickly. Taiwanese fought defending homeland with total commitment. Americans fought supporting ally with professional dedication. Chinese fought following orders without same motivation. Morale differences showed in small unit actions. Taiwanese defended tenaciously. Americans attacked aggressively. Chinese followed procedures without initiative. Psychological dimension multiplied material differences. International law questions emerged immediately. Chinese invasion violated UN Charter, but Security Council paralyzed by Chinese veto. American intervention defended ally against aggression, but Chinese framed as interference in civil war. Legal arguments mattered less than military outcomes. Law couldn't prevent war, might determine facts. Legal justifications would follow results. Economic warfare accelerated first day. American froze Chinese assets, imposed sanctions, restricted technology exports, Chinese retaliated, targeting American companies, restricting rare earth exports, disrupting supply chains. Economic warfare complemented military operations. Both sides weaponized economic interdependence. Global economy fragmented rapidly along geopolitical lines. Media warfare shaped perceptions globally. American transparency showing Chinese aggression, Chinese propaganda framing defensive reunification. International media tried balanced coverage. Information warfare after kinetic warfare was critical, shaping domestic and international support. Both sides recognized narrative mattered alongside battlefield outcomes. Civilian casualties were heavy, particularly in Taiwan. Chinese bombardment killed thousands. Urban warfare would kill more. Human costs of great power war were terrible. But Taiwanese accepted sacrifice, understanding alternative was subjugation. Casualties strengthened rather than weakened resistance. Determination exceeded Chinese psychological warfare assumptions. Alliance coordination demonstrated through first-day operations. American, Japanese, Australian, British forces coordinated effectively. Compatible equipment, shared communications, integrated planning. Decades of alliance exercises paid dividends, enabling seamless coalition operations. Chinese forces fought alone. No coalition partners, no interoperability concerns because no allies contributed. Alliance advantages multiplied American strengths decisively. Historical parallels were obvious but uncomfortable. Taiwan paralleled Britain 1940, small democracy defending against authoritarian invasion. American support paralleled Lend-Lease. Question was whether Taiwan could hold long enough for American power projecting decisively, or whether Chinese would succeed before American intervention fully effective. History suggested democracies eventually prevailed. Question was cost and duration. Strategic patience would determine outcomes. Chinese expected quick victory, found determined resistance. American intervention was comprehensive. Allied support substantial. Question was whether Chinese political system could sustain casualties and economic costs required for eventual military success, or whether American coalition would maintain support through extended conflict, achieving objectives through sustained pressure. First day suggested long war favored alliance. Quick war was Chinese only path to success. Tuesday showed quick victory was impossible. Made Chinese strategic position questionable regardless of tactical gains. Tuesday ended with strategic situation fluid militarily but clarified politically. Chinese invasion encountered resistance exceeding estimates. American intervention was comprehensive, not limited. Allied support was substantial, not minimal. Taiwanese determination was absolute, not wavering. Everything Chinese planning assumed proved wrong, created strategic crisis, making invasion success questionable, even if beachheads consolidated temporarily.